Hello, and welcome back to Let's Play Unrest. My name is Marlo, and we are still playing as Tanya, the 15-year-old peasant girl, and we are strongly considering whether or not we should escape and run away with our friend here, whose name is Juhi, or, well, at least that's how I'm pronouncing it, since I do not know how to pronounce it. I apologize if you can hear my dog, but he has a tendency to misbehave when he can't be in the room where I am. It's kind of sad. So, why don't we go down here and just look and see what we would be looking at. We could attempt to steal the dowry. Why don't we talk to the captain here? Get out of my face unless you have something to report. I've got nothing to say to you. Something like what? If you saw it happen, you wouldn't have to ask. Listen up, girl, because I'm only going to explain this once. You're a peasant, I'm a guard. My job is to stand here doing nothing until you give me a reason to put a spear through your heart. I don't want to be your friend. I'm not even allowed to be your friend. For the sake of everyone's pleasant afternoon, move along. So, nice guy. Make sure to send him a Christmas card. Move along, girl. Laxmi's back and she won't be disturbed. Guess I won't be getting by this way. Okay. So that's not going to work. I tell you what, let's go back through here and see if there's anybody else we can talk to that's not our parents. And we'll go at it from this direction. Okay, we have not spoken to her yet, and I think there's a journal entry on this character, whose name should be Nita. Nita's a friend of your mother. In another life, she could have been a member of any ruling council in the world. In this one, she runs her household with astounding finesse and energy. So let's talk to her. So I heard your parents managed to get you betrothed to Hanu. Congratulations, Tanya. You really deserve this. I could be agreeable and say thanks. I could be resigned and say, I'm going to assume that's a compliment, or I could be direct and say, I don't know about that, I haven't spoken to him, which is not actually true, but maybe we were intended to talk to Nita a little earlier than this, so I'm going to say that I haven't spoken to him. What's that supposed to mean? Hanu's not just a husband, he's a hand up into the next caste. He's your way out of a lifetime of hard work and starvation. If my parents had gotten me a marriage like that, I would have never stopped smiling. Let's see. I can be resigned. I'm not ungrateful. I'm just cautious. I can be direct. If you'd married Hanu, your current husband wouldn't have stopped smiling either. Or I could say, can you please just leave me alone? I've got some things to do. I think I'll be resigned and say I'm not ungrateful. I'm just cautious. Well, you're not grateful enough, that's for sure. This marriage is the greatest gift you'll ever get. Oh, gosh. Let's talk to Radha again. You can also click to move if you want to. And sometimes I've been doing that. I've mostly been using the arrow keys. But, okay, Radha says, you know, Tanya, I didn't much like the man I was arranged to marry either. I thought he was a vile bastard who wouldn't know gentleness if it bit him on the ankle. I cried every night for a week before we were married. And do you know what happened? He died of bowel disease after 10 years, and I've been free ever since. I could be direct and say, thanks, Radha. I don't know what I'm supposed to get out of that, but thanks. I could say, it's okay. I've already resigned myself to marrying Hanu. What else can I do? I could say, ironic. You wouldn't happen to know how he got it, would you? Maybe a certain kind of diet? I think I'll be direct and say thanks, but I don't know what I'm supposed to get out of this. Only that you don't know how things are going to turn out. I'm sure marrying that Hanu boy seems like the end of your world, but trust me, for a strong-willed woman there will always be moments of respite. Who knows? Maybe you'll even get to like the kid. Maybe you'll even him out some. I can say, be agreeable and say, I hope so. Be direct and say, or maybe he doesn't want a strong-willed woman. Or resign and say, I don't see anyone giving me much of a choice. I'm going to go with direct again and say maybe he doesn't want a strong-willed woman. Boy, she doesn't like these responses that I'm giving her, but I doubt he does. That's where the strong will comes in. Defiant. I could be defiant. I could say, do you really think I've got a chance at making him better? I could say, be thoughtful and say, I just don't know. That's not a lot to stake my future on. And be direct, or he says, or he beats me lifeless. Rada, are you going to promise me that won't happen? I think I'll be thoughtful and say, that's not a lot to stake my future on. I've lived a long time, Tanya. I've seen a lot of marriages. My advice is to grit your teeth and get it done with. Okay, let's check our journal. And Rada thinks this would be hard for me even if I found a way out of marrying Hanu. The village would certainly think it was strange. And probably my family wouldn't be able to look me in the eye again. So, we're in kind of a difficult situation. It's hard to know what we should do. There is an area down here we haven't yet explored, so why don't we go down here and take a look at it while we have a chance. There's no red markers there, but that doesn't mean that there's no one to talk to. There are some villagers here who do not appear to be named characters. Yep, all villagers, no names. I don't think, and we can't walk through the crops, so I'm not sure. Sorry, my dog is doing weird things. I don't think there's anything really to do here. Let's come at the guard post this way. Ooh, there's Laxmi. There's a peacock. That's interesting. Move along, girl. Laxmi's back and she won't be disturbed. Guess I won't be getting by this way. Now, we've been told that the way to do it is to go from the east. So why don't we go back over there and just see what our options might be. It's a tricky decision to make. I mean, either we marry this guy or we attempt to escape. I really don't know what it would be best to do, and to be truthful, there may not be a best choice. Perhaps best is the wrong word. But certainly whatever we do, since we're playing in Iron Man mode, it's going to be a rather permanent decision. Certainly I've been talking a lot like I want to escape, but I don't know. Where is the stranger to be found? Let me look at the map. I don't want to just aimlessly wander. Okay, one more screen to the right. I gotcha. Okay. So, yeah, but it's tricky. I mean, and here's the question. Do we do what I, the player, want to do? Or do we roleplay this decision? That's the other question you have to ask yourself. Do you roleplay these characters, or do you try to maneuver for the outcome that you, the player, think would be interesting to see? It's hard to know the answer to that. And so far, honestly, I think I've been trying to kind of walk some fine line in between. Okay, he doesn't have anything else to tell us. We still can't go down in here. Can we talk to this man anymore? Okay, so he's making ready to leave. And, so there's nothing else we can do here. Why don't we go approach from the east, as we were advised would be the way to do it. And let's see if that gets us anywhere. Would clicking on this cart tell us anything else? Okay, no. No. So we'll continue to the south here, and we'll see if we can come at it from the east and see if this makes any difference. Okay, yeah, that's the same guy that we talked to before, double patrol duty. And I would, okay. here's these rocks that still apparently serve no purpose, so hard to know what those are for. And why they're called fissured rocks, that's kind of strange. I'm very curious about that. And let's talk to Laxmi's guard. What are you doing here? You know you're not allowed near Laxmi's estate. I could say, I'm sorry, never mind. I could be agreeable and say, I'm here to pick up her laundry. Or be direct and say, look, I'm here to steal my dowry back. Let me through and I'll cut you in. Well, let's see if we could say sorry, never mind, and kind of back out of the conversation for a moment. Okay, so no harm done there. I think we can... There's valuables up there. Can we walk up a little bit? And what is that? My dowry and other heaped valuables. A lot there that could be stolen. Or stealing is, not very good, I suppose, but at the same time, we appear to be ruled over by a tyrant. And so there does come a time, I suppose, when at least some things that might not ordinarily be justifiable are arguably justifiable. And what's really neat about this game, what's really cool about it, is that these are the sorts of questions that the game ends up getting you to ask yourself. So really, we have to decide something before we proceed much farther. Do we want to proceed with the marriage and see what happens with that storyline, or do we want to attempt to escape? Well, let's talk it through. If we proceed with the marriage, we know that Hanu is pretty horrible, or at least he seems pretty horrible so far. Excuse me. We also know that his family is equally horrible. And for those of you who are watching who are married, like myself, you know that when you marry somebody, you are really, you're not just getting your spouse, you're getting their whole family. It's kind of a package deal. I have no doubt that this culture in the game is very similar in that regard. So, I'm not complaining, by the way. I have a wonderful wife who lets me have lots of free time to make YouTube videos like this. Yeah, at the same time, it's what our family would have us to do. Now, our family's opinion is probably important to the character that we're currently playing. And, if we try to get out of it but stay in the village, our family, is going to suffer a lot of social friction because of that. If, on the other hand, we choose to escape, well, it could lead to some interesting adventures for this character. It also seems possible, based on some things we've heard, that the university might be some kind of a potential destination for Tanya. She could run off with her friend Juhi, who seems equally unhappy with the state of things in her life. On the other hand, we would be leaving our family to deal with the fallout of our escape from our societal obligations. And based on some things that the stranger has told us, that fallout sounds like it could be pretty bad. So who knows? It's hard to say. I mean, running away is kind of, in a way, a selfish decision. Not that being selfish is necessarily always a bad thing. I mean, everyone can think of times when they've had to do something for themselves first and worry about others later. We all have times in our lives like that. But there are also times when we all do things that we don't really want to do, but we do it because we know that it will help our family. And so we, swallow our doubts or our pride or whatever and go through something kind of unpleasant for the sake of the greater good. Again, I can't remember the last time I've played a computer game or video game that made me think like this, but that's what this game is doing. It's just amazing. So I'm tempted to have the character run away, but I'm also tempted to see about, what her family might have to say. Now let's look at our quest marker just again, one more time. Okay, so yeah, so it could be bad for our family if we don't go through with the marriage. Why don't we come in here and talk to our parents just a bit and see if we can well, let's just see how things go. I'm going to try to remain non-committal as much as I can at this point, because quite honestly, I haven't really decided, what to do. It's a tough decision, and we're playing Iron Man mode. We can't go back and see the other side. Okay, here's what our father has to say to us. Tanya, I've spoken with Hanu myself. I know he isn't the gentlest soul or the kindest. Don't tell anyone I said this, but the plain truth is he's not half as smart as you are either. But a wise man once said, there's no such thing as a fair marriage, and in my eyes, there's not a single boy in this village worthy of you. At least Hanu's birth will give you opportunities. I could be agreeable and say, I appreciate that, Father. I could be thoughtful and say, do you really think this is a good idea? And be direct and say, please don't try to make me feel better about this. I think I'll be thoughtful and ask a question and see what the response is. I do. I think if a clever girl like you and a willful boy like Hanu can't make a life out of a merchant caste standing, no one can. You're smarter than a lot of people give you credit for. You know how to use the power you've got. Marriage gives a woman a certain kind of leverage. In time, you'll see what I mean. I promise. Okay, let's talk to our mother. Have you spoken with Hanu? Are you ready to accept the marriage? Let's see. I could be agreeable and say, I suppose I am. I'm ready to marry him, which, I don't know if I'm ready to say that. Be thoughtful and say, no, honestly, I'm not. I'm still working through a few things. Which may be the response we ultimately go with here, as I think this response would not lock us into any particular path in the game. No, I have decided to refuse. We could be defiant and say that, or we could be direct and say, Mother, I've been looking into things. Hanu's family is broke. They're using us. I think I'm going to go with this response here and see how Mother reacts and what, if any, information she might be able to give us. You mean to tell me you've been prying into their family's affairs? Tanya, I know we raised you better than that. Defiant, were you even listening? Direct, something felt wrong. I had to know the truth about what was going on. This will be my affair soon enough. How is Hanu supposed to help me if his family is broke? That's a fair question. So I don't think that's... I think it's really between number 2 and number 3 here. And I'm tempted to go... I think I'm going to go with number 3 and say, how is Hanu supposed to help me if his family is broke? It is kind of our business since I'm supposed to be marrying this guy, right? It was never about Hanu's family being wealthy. You don't think we know they've been through hard times? We're not fools. It was never our plan to marry you into a life of instant luxury. It was our plan to marry you into some opportunity. Are you ready to take advantage of that, or do you plan to throw a tantrum? I think I'm going to be direct and say I don't know. I need to think about this. Take what time you need, but know that whatever you do, the outcome will be the same. And what does that mean? That's interesting. Alright, so now we really have to make a hard decision. And the question is, Do we attempt to escape, which might not even work? We could be caught. We could be killed, thereby not achieving our goal of not dying. It could work. Who knows what would happen to our family at that point? Or, on the other hand, we could go through with the marriage and see what happens from there. It's very tempting to escape in many ways. I'm going to go back and talk to our friend over here and see if she has anything else to say that might sway us one way or the other. Remember, tonight in front of the stables. Right. Okay, so she still wants to escape. I'm not surprised by that. I really didn't expect anything else. But our dowry, the stables, the Naga merchant, and the stranger. They're still on the map. And yet, I don't think that they have anything else to tell us. So, yeah, I have to admit, I'm procrastinating making this decision a little bit. I mean, it's really tough. There are good reasons to try and escape, and there are good reasons to stay and marry this horrible guy. So yeah, it's hard to know what to do. Okay, he really doesn't have anything else to tell us. I doubt the stranger does either. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to bother. I think at this point we just need to make a decision. We either steal the dowry and escape, or we marry this guy. So the question is, do we do what I want to do, or do we do what the girl would do? Do we try to RP this and do what the girl would do? I mean, it is, I suppose, an RPG in many ways, and in many ways it's an RPG quite different from, your typical RPG that's driven by stats and combat roles and things like that. I mean, this is an RPG where we're actually playing a role, and as strange as it may be for a 32-year-old man to be role-playing a 15-year-old girl about to enter an arranged marriage, the game is designed in such a way that it is actually easy to, feel the dilemma that she has and be torn by the decision that needs to be made. So I think that gosh, she could escape, but honestly, I don't know that the character would actually try to escape. I mean, I kind of think that the character would think about trying to escape, but when it came right down to it, I don't know that she would actually go through with it. So I think, because she might be very worried about what was going to happen to her family. So I think that we... You know what? I say the hell with it. Let's try to escape. Gosh, it's really hard to make these decisions, and I apologize for the waffling that I've been doing. But so far, I have to say the developers seem to have done a really good job of making it hard to decide. But let's see if we can fool this guy. Here's Laxmi's guard. Does he have a journal entry? No, apparently not. Let's check out our quest. Okay, word is that the guard by the east side of Laxmi's estate isn't too bright and has a few gambling problems. She really knows how to pick winners. So we could probably go with either number 2 or number 3. And offer to cut him in and give him some of the money. He probably has some gambling debts, or I could play on his, low IQ and say that I'm here to pick up her laundry. I'm not sure which one is more likely to be successful, but I think I'm going to try the direct approach and offer to cut him in. Okay. He says, "What? Are you serious?" "Okay, listen, I don't want to know what you're doing, and I don't want to know what you've got in mind. Just give me 50 coins of the dowry, and I'll let you in. But if Laxmi gets suspicious, I'm spilling my guts before she spills them for me. And if that happens, she's going to have you executed. Understand? Have we got a deal?" We could be direct and say we have a deal. We could say 50's too much. I'll give you 30 coins. Now, granted, I don't know how many coins are in there. 50 could be half. So we could try to negotiate with him, or we could say, forget it, this is too dangerous. But hey, we're already going to risk execution here, and we're going to try, again, to avoid death if possible, although we don't seem to be... Our track record isn't good based on other characters. But why don't we say... Let's say 50's too much, I'll give you 30 coins. $30? How about 60, or I bring you in right now. Tell Laxmi you're trying to bribe one of her guards and rob one of her sheds. Let her pick a way for you to die. Well, that didn't go how I thought it would go. But we're in a defiant mood, apparently. So why don't we say I said 30 coins? Alright, it worked. Crazy kid. 30 coins, whatever. Just go get it and bring it back. Don't you go talking to the other guards. They'll start wondering why you're back there. Alright, so it looks like we're in. Now we're inside the gates. And we're going to come up here and take our dowry. In a minute, you hold a sack containing your entire dowry. Your father must have been preparing for your marriage most of his life. This is a fortune almost beyond the grasp of a peasant, and more money than you've ever seen in one place before. Gosh. Well, twist the knife there, game. Jeez. Way to make us feel guilty about this. We could leave it. We could take the money with us. I guess we'll take the money with us. Well, now, what are these here? Alright. These are various valuable items belonging to the well-to-do members of the village. Ornaments belonging to Laxmi, Laxmi's retainers, and perhaps Hanu's family. Taken together, they are quite valuable. We could take the most valuable items, we could take everything we could carry, or we could leave the items alone. Well, I suppose, in an effort to make myself feel better about stealing from my own father his life savings, I will leave the items alone. That may be not the smartest move, but it'll make me feel better about things. So let's get out of here while we still can. Come on, where's my money? Pay up and get out. I better not see your face again or we're done with this. Let's give it to him. Just don't do anything stupid with that money, you hear me? We're both in this now. Oh, I think we're going to do something stupid. Alright, there's a hiding place. That's probably the rocks. The stables, to here, Naga merchant, Naga's cart, stranger, and Hanu's father. That's interesting. Let's look at our traits. We're an opportunist now. Tanya seizes the advantage where others would shy away. Okay, let's... Okay, we've got a new quest. Take what you need. Well, I have my father's dowry. Now what? I could get a long way on this money if I ran for it, or I could try to ditch it, then tell Hanu's father we never had the money in the first place. Or I guess I could just hand it to him and tell him to call the wedding off. Or honestly, it's almost a matter of what I can't do with this money, as long as I don't get caught. Now that's interesting. This seems to actually give us more options than I thought we might have before. That's very interesting. We'll have to consider this. And our dowry, all the money your parents put towards your marriage. We now have 273 coins. So we had to give 30 coins to that guy who won't talk to us anymore. Okay. Makes me wonder if we should have taken that other stuff, but it's too late now. Okay, well, we have some other decisions to make that are a little more complicated than I was expecting, but that's going to have to wait until next time. I think we've gotten close to the half hour. Last video was about 45 minutes, and I'm trying to keep them a little bit shorter than that. So when we come back, we will go talk to some of these other people and see if new options have indeed opened up. Until then, I hope you're doing well. I hope you continue to do well, and I'll see you in the next one.